Hello, and welcome to day 2 where we're going to be focusing on stability. This is going to be another day where we're just going to be experimenting with different movement drills just to get you more connected with firing up your different muscles. So we're going to spend a lot of time in tabletop, but before we do that, I want you to place both your hands out, keep your arms bent, and we're going to dial the hands out. And I want you to notice what your elbows do, how they come closer. Now, dial the hands in. Notice how when the elbows go out, you also feel more tension in your neck, right? This is just gonna give you an understanding of just how your body is moving, just bringing your awareness to when I do that, this is what happens. So we're gonna go down into tabletop. And if you do have any issues with your knees, I highly recommend you placing a blanket underneath your knees, since we're just going to be staying here for a while. You could also elevate your hands just a bit in this practice if you have any issues with your wrist. That's something to definitely look at with your own personal practice. Just experimenting with the different positions, especially with the hand and wrist placement. You want to find the position that works for you, that gives you that stability that you're feeling. So sometimes for me, I know directly under the shoulders is okay, but when I just go slightly a little bit forward, it just feels a lot nicer. So just something to be cognizant of and experiment with. That's why we're doing this, because oftentimes you just click the play button, you follow what the teacher's saying, or even in class, and you just don't have those moments where you take the time to experiment. As a beginner or anyone who's been practicing for years, taking those times to just experiment, bringing that awareness is very important. So we're gonna get into tabletop, and what we're gonna do is we are going to activate our hand to shoulder by dialing out. So I want you to dial the hands out, activate, and then turn it off, okay? Just bringing that awareness to how you feel again. So you're activating. I know for me, it feels a lot stronger, more stable. And when you are activating, of course, it's moving the elbow and the muscles around your scapula. They're just tightening up and creating more strength and stability. So when you are in this posture, when you're in tabletop, it's going to help you out a lot. Now, to show you that this movement or this activation movement is more dynamic instead of just being like really stiff, we want you to place your hands on the mat, such as in tabletop, activate, dial out your hands, and just rock back and forth, right? Bringing your weight forward, bringing it back over your heels, and keeping the hands dialed out, keeping that relationship between the hand and your shoulders nice and stable. And we're doing this because it's a dynamic movement, right? If you're dialing the hands or if you were dialing the feet a little bit too much, right? If we overdid it, it stiffens up your movement, okay? So you want to experiment with that so you could feel that stability and you could feel that dynamic movement. So moving back and forth, we're just getting that feeling, right? And then now we're going to bring our weight more forward and just come down to the mat and press up into Cobra, coming back down to the mat and pressing back towards our heels. We're gonna do this again, bring our weight all the way forward, coming down to the mat, pressing up into Cobra. And remember, you're still dialing your hands out, coming back down, and bringing our weight all the way back over our heels. Good. Now come back into tabletop. And this activation movement, you're also going to be doing it when you go into your downward facing dog. So to get into your downward facing dog, we're going to tuck our feet and we're going to bring our hips up towards the ceiling. Sorry if the mic is a little weird. And of course, in this position, You're gonna keep your hands dialed out. You're really just engaging that connection between your hand and your shoulder. Now bring your knees back down to the ground, coming back into tabletop. And from here, you could also use this same hand activation when you're coming into plank. So dialing out the hands, bringing both feet out, coming into plank, and just feeling it. And if this is too hard, of course, you could bring your knees back and do half plank if this is a lot easier for you. Because the thing is, you're gonna wanna work with where you're at. And each person that's watching this video, that's participating, we're all at different stages with our strength and our stability. And it's so important to explore it and to build that up. So the movements that you just looked at, you just want to practice them a little bit. And to take it a little bit further, we're going to get back into tabletop, okay? And we're going to explore what it's like to just lift the right hand. So lift the right hand off the mat, engaging that left hand, dialing it out, making that connection, that stability between your hand and your shoulder and your hand and your core nice and strong, okay? And you're gonna just explore moving your right hand around, coming back. Good. Now you're gonna shift over to the right, dialing your right hand out. You're gonna lift your left hand up and just explore a little bit over with your left. And what you're gonna notice is when you lift either of the hands off, it's just gonna require the hand that is grounding into the mat a lot more strength. So this is something that you could practice with, especially if it is hard for you to get into plank. You could practice by building the strength and stability of one of your arms at a time, okay? There's so many different ways to regress a movement. There's so many different ways to build up, and building up over time is key, right? You wanna jump right in, you wanna do something, you wanna feel like you had like a workout, you wanna feel like you've done something, but taking this time on the mat to explore, to bring your awareness, this is gonna help you so much in the long run when you take these moments to explore. So now, if you want to take the exploration process a little bit further, what is it like when we're dialing out with our left hand, we're lifting our right hand in front of us, and now we're lifting our left foot behind us, right? Taking notice to how that feels. Taking notice to what muscles we're using to just remain stable, to remain here, and if that's hard, and then maybe just slightly bringing it down, bringing it back up, bringing it down, bringing it back up, right? And now let's switch over to the other side, right? And we're going to explore the same thing, just bringing our left hand in front of us and our right foot out, just taking notice, really dialing that hand, right? And if you want, you could explore what it's like to just keep it loose, to not dial it. You could just see how you feel when you're not activating your muscles, right? Because when you activate the hand to shoulder to core, there's just so much more stability. And sometimes, like we were saying earlier, if you activate too much, people think that you have to be so stiff and rigid, but you don't have to be. It's very dynamic, and it's just about exploring and trying different things. So it's very important that the more you practice these different movements that we went over from day one and today for day 2, the stronger you will get, the easier it will become over time. So tomorrow, we're actually going to be combining everything for day 3 and day 4 and going into a different flow. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye.